Hey, what's up guys? Pallav here from nothingwired.com, and today we're talking about the brand new Tamron 85mm 1.8 VC. This also called, the full name is basically Tamron SP F1.8 DI VC USD. We'll talk about those, but first, that's the lens. I hope the camera focuses it. There you see. So this one's Tamron's first 85mm made for portrait prime lens, fast prime lens 1.8. First of all, I'll show you the spec sheet of this one, and I'll just talk about the main things here. I'm not gonna go too technical. So first of all, as I told you, 85mm 1.8, meaning maximum aperture is 1.8. SP meaning superior performance, that's like the highest grade of Tamron lenses. DI meaning it's for full frame. You can also use it on a cropped body, APS-C body. It's also called VC because it has a vibration compensation. In fact, this one is the only 85mm lens in the world right now with vibration compensation, or that's kind of an image stabilization option that helps you shoot under low light. Your shutter speed can go down up to 3.5 stops as claimed by Tamron with this one, which actually might be slightly better than some of the 85mm 1.4 lenses as far as that stability is concerned. DIVC USD. USD meaning ultrasonic drive, meaning it has a very silent autofocus motor. So I mean, you can work even under very silent environment, like for example inside a temple or a church, where sounds are kind of irritating to your subject or people around you. So that's it. SP 85mm f1.8 DI VC USD. Now some of the other spec sheet is that it has a 67 mm filter. That's one of the most common filters. So you probably already have some of the ND filters and circular polarizer filter from some of your other lenses. Those will fit here perfectly. It weighs about 660 grams. Now I'm generally I have a Nikon camera mainly, so I generally test these on my Nikon D750. So obviously there is also a comparison with the Nikon 85mm 1.8, which is almost half of this weight. This has 13 elements in 9 group. The Nikon one has 9 elements in 9 groups. So obviously it has more glass, it has the VC feature, so that's why that increase in weight, but still 660 gram, it feels substantial. But there's something else that contributes to that weight, and something really good. Unlike the Nikon one, this is all metal and this is weather seal. Some of the vulnerable areas, like where it connects to the lens here, and also the areas of the focal ring edges, those are kind of vulnerable for the sands to go inside the barrel. Those places are well sealed, so you can use this lens even outside, even in much harsher condition than you can use the Nikon one. The medium focus distance is 80 centimeter, which is identical to the Nikon one, and the minimum aperture it goes is f/16. It's generally f/16 for most of these prime lenses, normal zoom, normal to wide, or normal to telephoto zoom prime lenses. So f/16, again similar to the, or identical to the Nikon 85mm 1.8. Now talking about the hardware, I already told you about the all metal construction. It has this nice focus ring, nice rubber here. The metal is a matte finish that feels great in hand, does not slip from your hand that easily, also does not attract fingerprints that easily. Also Tamron says that it's kind of, the curves and all are very natural to a human touch, and I actually feel that some of those parts, like the contact point to the lens here, are very nice to hold at, and they are very I think the curves are very natural out here, but it's slightly on the fatter side, I see, but that's mainly for the VC feature. The focus throw is good. It gives to distinct sound when you cross the infinity on one side and the minimum focus distance on the other side, but this does not stop there, otherwise your autofocus motor would break. And I like those, lens covers. Even the hood is very good quality. So on the lens you see fonts, they're very legible font. You can see the SP logo there, superior performance. And then you see two buttons mainly. One's for a VC, one is for a autofocus. So simple on and off, autofocus and manual focus. But I generally never keep this lens in manual focus, because even when you're in autofocus, you can simply turn the focus ring to override it manually, override it to fine-tune your autofocus. So that's one great thing. This lens comes for Nikon, Canon and Sony. The Sony one does not have a VC feature because the Sony Alpha DSLRs have a VC, or their term of image stabilization in their body. Now let's talk about some performance of the lens. Now focus speed and accuracy to start with. Under enough light, the autofocus is snap on, both from minimum focus distance, or MFD is what I call it, and infinity. Under very low light, you can see it acquires focus in one go from MFD, but from the infinity end, the lens kind of just comes close, make sure that where the subject is, and then snaps on. This is always better than going to and fro and hunting in the process. The lens shows significant focus breathing both at MFD and from a normal portrait distance of about 1.5 meters. On both distance accounts, the magnitude is similar. Also, the impact will be felt more while framing from a minimum focus distance. Note that all lenses have some degree of focus breathing. It's just a matter of the magnitude. In fact, sometimes the lens, especially a macro lens, uses this to focus closer on a subject. Also, focus breathing is a problem sometimes when you need to focus stack. Overall, I don't think there would be much issue with the portrait lens in particular, where you have control over your steps and possibly over the movement of your subject as well. As far as sharpness is concerned, we tested the sharpness from f1.8 till 11 on a paper that's at the same focal plane. The review copy we had was very sharp at the center in all aperture stops. Negligible softness towards the left corners were seen. Left bottom is slightly softer than the left top till about f4. The right side was significantly softer till 4, which is very decent. By 5.6 the softness disappears for most part, and by 8 the lens is absolutely tack sharp. The bokeh starts to get roundish at about f-stop 2.2 and perfects at 2.8, where you can see all the round aperture blades. At 1.8 they're not circular and slightly oval, with top half bigger than the bottom. This is typical of most of today's fast aperture prime lens, which is the reason why just buying a faster lens for only bokeh might not always be the best idea. The quality of the bokeh is beautiful and creamy, though you'll find slight halo in some cases, but I think most of those are just blurs. This 85mm is the only 85mm lens that comes with VC 85mm prime lens for that matter. Without VC on or VC off, I could go up to 160 without any problem, and below that the photo started getting blurred. But with VC on, I could go down to 1/20th of a second without any problem, which is slightly beyond the tolerance level that Tamron recommends you go. 1/20th and 1/15th are ever so slightly unsharp, and if your camera holding tactics are good, then you'd probably get away with those. Don't go till 1/10. Little or no fringing absolutely kills it with the LD and XLD class elements here. There is prominent vignetting at 1.8, which clears up more than half by 2.8 and almost completely gone by 4. Negligible barrel distortion on both sides. There's no question of keystoning at this focal length. It's not telephoto enough to be able to show possible keystoning and even pincushion distortion. On most occasions, even after repeatedly trying to bring some flair, the lens disappointed us, much to our delight though, except on one occasion at a particular angle. So you can say the lens does not show any ghosting or flare, but there might be one or two odd angles where you might see ghosting, but you're not going to always shoot straight onto the light, right? So then guys, that's the Tamron 85mm 1.8 VC. Now, what do you think about the lens? Let's talk about some pros and cons. The main pros are three, what I've understood. The performance, above all, the overall performance of this lens is very, very good. The construction quality and the weather sealingness, it's a pro level lens. And also the VC, the vibration compensation here is really good. You cannot go down to like those 1/5 seconds or 1 seconds to get really long streaks of lights, but then up to 1/20th second, no problem at all. And this is an 85mm lens, remember. So I think in some cases this 1.8 might even compensate for a 1.4 lens without VC, because you could go down to that low a shutter speed. The cons of this lenses, I do not see much con of this lens. It could be relative or comparatively, and we tested it on Nikon. So if you compare it with the Nikon 85mm lens, number one, the cost is almost double. So if you're strictly on budget, then this might be slightly over the budget for you. Might be, depending on what your budget is. And also number two is slightly heavier, not slightly, actually more than twice heavier than Nikon, but that's also because of the rugged construction quality, which is very deserved. It's 660 grams as compared to Nikon just over 300 grams, but Nikon one is plastic, it's not weather sealing. So depending on your usage, you might like to opt for the 660 gram if you spend a lot of time outdoor shooting people. But if you really like a very, very light lens that just kind of disappears with your camera, then you might just prefer the Nikon. But I think I would take that extra 350 grams any day for that weather sealingness. You never know, most of these you'd be shooting outside, you'd be shooting probably street portraits or those, so I would take that. The price is very subjective and I cannot comment on that. So at the end, we totally recommend the Tamron 85mm 1.8 VC based on the reasons that we mentioned. And also this could just be the best 85mm 1.8 lens in the market. If you like this video, please hit the like button, ask anything related to this, and we'll try to answer them all. And please subscribe to our channel and share this video to share the love. Thank you.